Thank you for by your message. You have given us the grace to be in knowledge as they are yet start this class. We're about to start. Please give us wisdom that this class will make sense, that the class will be productive. Everything we'll teach may um may we understand, may it take us further to become professionals in our skills. And after today's class, we glorify your name in Jesus' name. Amen. So welcome to this class. So let me share my screen. So we'll continue from where we stopped in our previous class, but today by God's grace, we have understood what this is we do. So now let's share screen for the best way. So yeah, let me go to the screen. So you're going to be looking at um you continue with prototyping, which that's where we still are, but we'll now enter user flow. User flow. That's the next stage. We're entering. You are done with sketching. I just emphasize on sketching, or let me just say we emphasized on low fidelity throughout last week. So I got this. I think I'm blocking the screen. Let me just sit down. I got this to continue with without flow, which is still under flow which is still under flow typing. So so let me give mouse. So this class will still be practical. I'm going to disconnect. So user flow. And you're on the call. So when you speak, you have to unmute your mic and then speak. So Andrea, I want you to tell us, what do you think user flow means? I think some concepts we need to start in, since I've laid the foundation. Something should start, at least we have a little idea. So what do you understand by the term user flow? Yes, unmute and speak.
Okay, so I think user flow is like how the user navigates from one maybe page. I don't know if it's called it a page, from one page to another, if it's a website, or from one I'm not really sure what to call it, maybe just the screen, what you see on the screen, from that level to another, maybe through icons or buttons, or I don't know, but that's what I think user flow is.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a very good attempt. So, Mr. Ora, can you help us with what you understand by the term user flow. So don't just give it a try. You don't need to be very, the goal is not to be very correct, but at least to get your mind around it. Okay. Yeah, still in mind. Okay, so okay, can you help us with what user flow means? I don't think you omitted the money.
User flow can be described as a structure, organizational structure of the way or the process in which what's it called, how it is being followed, either in a sequential arrangement or any other arrangement. But I think it's just like a structure, how a process is supposed to follow.
Okay, so you're correct still. I just need to remind us, let's unmute our microphone. So that's when we want to speak. So we are all correct. So the term user flow is a diagram, or from the slide I said, user flows are diagrams created by UX as user experience and product designers to assist them in understanding the patterns users will follow while using the products. So it's just as a name user of flow, just to visualize and understand how will the user flow through how the user navigates through the products. So and it's something, it's like a map that will guide that you design. You have to, okay, I haven't said it yet. Says user flow, examine and map how users will interact with the entire product. So it's a map, just say AKA user flow, AKA map. So it's that map you draw, and that map is predictive. You're predicting how let me not say you is okay, you're kind of predicting and also guiding how the user will go to the websites. And so that means you have to map out the every possible scenarios so that at no point your user be taken, at no point will you be taken unawares by a user. So that's why you have to, your user flow guides you so that if user uses any road, they will lead to one point in your product. So let me give a very good example. You have a banking app. No matter how the user wants to go through the app, you will end up doing a transfer. So you can have other features in the app, but you should make sure that the most important feature, which is transfer, no matter how the user goes, even if you let the user sign up or let the user log in as a user, as a already existing user, or however, maybe through a voucher, whatever means the user can have ability to um, make that same transfer. So at the end of the day, you're predicting where the user will end up when they use your product. So this is so because user can go through different scenarios to accomplish a task while using the products. That was the example I was showing you by using when I made example of the banking app. So types of user flow. We have the task flow. Task flow, I think you should understand what it means. Task flow is like what's this? Task flow is like let me say the okay, I'll explain it later, but let me just know that we have the tax flow, and then the tax should make you understand what it means. You have the wire flow, and you now have the user flow. So what's a task flow? So task flow focus on the steps a user goes through to perform a specific task while using a product. So task flow is for a specific task. Let's say sign in is a task. So there's a flow for that task. So login is a task. So there's a flow to it. To make payments is a task. So there should be a flow that will guide the user to make that payment. So it's a linear flow. There are no in-betweens / branches. It just shows the journey of the user while performing a task from start to end. So it's just a straightforward line. You don't have any corner. You will not branch. You know, some people when some people give us direction, they'll say go straight to when you get to somewhere that you see a brown gate, you now turn right. You know, that's not how it works. It's a straightforward path. And you end up in one place. There is no branch. You just have to end up in one place. So that's a task flow. So this is an example of how task flow looks like on how user signs up. So this is a task flow on how user signs up. So this is a task flow. Visits the websites. Yes, rather we must check something. I'm checking if I'm still live. Okay, yeah. So visit the websites. Visit the websites. That's one. What else again? And let me go back to full screen. So visit the websites is the first thing the person has to do to sign up. Sorry, my screen is still loading. So visit the websites. Land. Let's say let me use the word lands on the homepage. Let's assume that as you're visiting the website, you're taking a flight. So as you board your flight through the website's link or whatever, you now land on the home page. From the home page, you see a sign up button, sign in button, or sign up, whichever means. So actually sign up button. Then you click on the sign up button. Then you fill in your details and then submit. So this is a task flow. Inside this task flow, there can be in-betweens. But the reason why I did this task flow is just to know how the user will sign up. There can be in-betweens in this. So this is just a linear flow. So what I mean by in-betweens is in these filling details, there can be in-betweens. Before this survey, there can be in-betweens. Before click on a button, there can be in-betweens. But for task flow, it's just to show the roadmap to sign in or sign up. So what is a wire flow? Wire flow is a detailed version of a task flow. Instead of using shapes to draw the charts, a wire flow, the screen is used to represent each step. So task flow most times is what we see if you're going through computer science or computer engineering, their textbook, when they drew an algorithm or something like that stepwise, it usually says from start to end. That's how task flow is like, a little bit of it. So instead of using shape to draw the screen, a wire flow, most times we represent each step with the screen of the phone, depending on how it wants to look like. So what do I mean is that you just do a little screen of that flow of this folder and now show from this screen, you can move to this screen. So it's more detailed than task flow. So task flow is just you have a linear line, but wire flow, you start seeing a lot of branches, and more screens. So why using screen is just to show this is screen one, maybe screen one is a landing page, screen two is your login page. So this one you're try to make it more detailed than how it looks like. Then this is an example of task flow, sorry, wire flow. So visit websites, you visit home page, click on the sites, click on the sign in button, which is this one that is now blue. So visit the websites that you click on the link, which this represents. Home page is a home page. Then this is a sign in button you have to click on. Then fill in details, which which is this. Then submit, this is not the submit button. So I do now understand the difference between user flow and then wire flow. So this is how wire flow works. Then user flow, I know you're not be like, why user flow again? So it's still the same thing. User flow concentrates on how the intended user will engage the products to achieve desired goal. This is because all user cannot use the products in the same way. You have to consider all user decision points, making the diagram a bit complex. So user flow is now a combination of a task flow and a wire flow. So you now combine everything to now show how the user uses. So that is this one, that the branches here will be very, very much built of branches because you're showing how the user will use the product. So let's go further. This is an example of how task flow looks like, user flow looks like. I don't know if it makes sense now. So it's now, you now see the in between. So let me show you the in between. It's still the same. It's how to sign in. You see the websites, into my pointer. You see the websites. I click in the button here, which you are showing here. When you navigate to the home page, from the home page, you click on the sign in button. You now log in. So you have two options. If you click on submit your details and there's an error, so this is the in between is now error now. Let's say if you click on it and this red place is the in between, there's an error in your signing. So error, if yes, if yes, it's an error, it will take you back to this filling details to correct your details. If no error, it now submits. So do you now see the in-betweens? So this is the in-betweens I was talking about in user flow. So you're now predicting. So if you click on the submit, I'm now, so this is the in-between. So you're predicting, assuming the user types a wrong email or puts a wrong password, this happens. If you understand. So this is the in-between. Andrew, are you following? Andrea, are you following? Okay. So let's now talk about sitemap. So sitemap is, we call this information architecture. It's still a user flow, but this one is very complex. So this one is the map of the entire site. So this is not user-based now. This one is just for the designers to now know the entire functionality of the website. Let me show you what I mean. So a sitemap is a hierarchy diagram that shows how pages are arranged. It's a guide that, let me get something. Okay. It's a guide that defines the primary pages of a website and their relationships to one another, demonstrating how they are linked and where each page fits in to the larger picture. So this particular one is not, let me take this out. Okay. So this particular one is not a tax flow, it's just let me say the map of entire site, of entire, not just sites, the entire application, website, whatever that is you have on the name. So I'm now done with user flow. Then I've finished with prototyping. I've discussed all the concepts in prototyping now. So I want to take questions at this point. If there's any question, please kindly indicate. If there is none, give me the permission to go ahead.
I emphasize more on the difference between the wire flow and the other one you mentioned, in user flow.
Okay. Okay, so let me go back. So wire flow, as I said previously, is this. Remember, task flow. Just let me use simple English. Task flow is just to show the walkthrough or the journey of doing a particular task. Then wire flow is now showing it in a more detailed way. Then user flow is now showing the journey that the user will follow throughout the website. So that's different. Task flow is just for a singular action. Wire flow is for multiple actions. And then user flow is for a whole, like, is like a combination of, let me use the word, should I use the word plenty action? So I don't know. I don't know if does this kind of make sense. So let me give you a little illustration to understand what I'm trying to say. Um, let me, I want to make a call. So um, so task flow this is how it looks like. Just a simple step. Visit the website homepage, click on the button, fill in details and submit. Then wire flow is still like a task flow, but more details. You're just laying more emphasis. Remember wireframe? I don't know if you understand now. You're using the wireframe now as you're using the wireframe now to guide, to show the process of carrying out particular action. This is just a low fidelity, or let me say it's just the wireframe of a software. So visit websites, homepage flow. Then user flow is now the one I said I have in betweens, whereby it shows the end product of something, but it shows you what happens. It shows you what happens in between, shows you the in-betweens moments. Click on the link, it takes you to the home page. This is the home page. It takes you to, you click on the sign in button. Once you're done, if you click on the sign in button, it takes you to where you fill in put in your details, maybe your email address, password, and whatever. Then you click on the create account or sign in, whichever option you're trying to work out. Then in that option, you now have what's it called? The error prevention. Remember we went about error prevention when you're trying to prevent error in the website. So let's assume that the user does not put the details correctly. This is the error prevention. So it means that the error prevention now is if there's an error, yes, it will return back to the previous page. If there is no error, it will take you to now submit your task. It has been completed. So this is a user flow. So you notice this one now shows you the totality of sign-ups. So it means you can either have an error. So this thing is you're predicting the user. So you will not be taken unawares, because it might be like, okay, after designing the app, you do not put this error prevention. It means that if user puts a wrong email, you now have a wrong account, which is going to be frustrating, because if you have a wrong account, you can be sending information to the wrong user. And these are now be like, one man, for example, you're going to be sending create alerts to the user through email. Imagine user putting the wrong email, person will not be receiving create alerts. So you're trying to prevent issues from the creating account phase. I don't know if this is understood. So that's the difference between user flow. That's the difference between task flow, wire flow, and user flow. So I've talked about sitemap, which is the entire, let me say, in a company, you have organogram. So it's the organic, let me say, the hierarchy of how information flows in an establishment. This is how sitemap is. It's an organogram of how the website or the application works. So I want to talk about design cycle. Design cycle we're going to talk about before we enter the practical phase of today's class. So design cycle. Andrew, are you with us? So design cycle is just a cycle between the developer and the let me say the designer, the UIUX designer. So what does this mean? In the planning phase of a project is where the UIUX person comes in. In the design phase is where the UIUX person comes in. Then in the development phase is now an intersection between the developer and the UI/UX person. So it means that the developer and the UI/UX person have to work together in the development phase. When you're launching, the developer takes most of the responsibility, because they're the ones that are doing the program. They're the ones that are creating the app using program. So it means in that development phase, the developer has to be on his or her table or her desk to make sure that everything is working. And you as a UX person, UI/UX person, your job is to ensure that the developer follows what is in your plan, so they'll not deviate. And even if they're going to deviate, they should give you strong reasons to deviate from what you have already planned, so there'll be no issue. So that's why you need to work hand in hand with them, strongly work hand in hand with them. The next one is the post-launch. Post-launch phase is after the launch. After you've launched, the developer will still be checking for errors, updates, other things. You as a UX designer will still be doing your research to make sure that, or doing your tests, which is still a research, doing your test research or doing any form of research to make sure the app is still ongoing. The developer will be there to ensure that there is no error in the program real time. So you can return back to planning. Maybe you can do another plan to plan a new feature for the website, or do a new design to change the previous design if the previous design have any issue. So this is a design cycle. I hope I believe this should solve a lot of issues, because people used to ask, where does the UI/UX person comes in? Where does the developer comes in? This is just a small circle. So from the planning phase to the development phase is for the UI/UX, okay, let me say, where the UI/UX person takes full responsibilities, planning phase and design phase. From development phase, the UI/UX person does not do much. It's not the developer that will take full responsibility. So from development phase to launch and post-launch, the developer has a lot of responsibility to do, or let's say a lot of responsibility at that point in time. So I don't know, does this kind of make sense? We have questions with regards to this. Your mic.
Does it mean the UICI designer only have interact with the user or the clients? Maybe the clients will give the UI designer what he or she intends to do. Then the UI designer will now, after sketching the whole sketching it out on how the program should look like, will now transfer it to the developer. The developer, after working on it, programming the the app, can you still go back, or can the UI still change the product at the end of the whole design? Person will now have access to check it. Yeah, yes, designer can now have access to check what the developer does.
Okay.
I don't know if you get my.
Okay, so in one sentence, can you ask the question? I understand what you're saying, no? But can you just say the question in one sentence so that maybe we can all understand clearly?
I mean, during the process of the design or developing the program, does a UI/UX designer have access to check what the developer is doing?
Okay. Okay, so can meet your mic. Okay, so yes. The question is just yes. So yes, the UI/UX person, or let's say the UI/UX designer, has the opportunity to still see what the developers are doing. So how do you do that in real life? How you do that in real life is you will request from the developer to show you the level of progress. So this thing is more of a, let me use the word, is more of a relationship between the two of them, whereby none of them is working alone. They're working as a team. So if once you're finished doing the design and you're typing and everything you're doing, you push it to you now hand the pattern over to the developer. So now they make it a real live product. So at that stage, is either the product is an app or the product is a website. So if it's an app, they'll have to show you how it looks like in the app. There are so many ways to do that. If it's a website, they have to share you the link of the website to see what is currently there. And you who is the UI/UX person, the user, whether the UI designer or the product designer, or the UI/UX designer, you have to now, with the plan, with what you've already drafted, you have to make sure that it is still in line. And if the developer calls you and says, what you have here, we cannot really do it, but there's a better option, you have to discuss with them. So that even if they're going to deviate from what you have already, there should be concrete reasons for that, so that they won't go and do another design whereby you do a different design. So because you have your reasons for doing a particular design, so that the developer will not, in his own mind, use a design they think is best, whereby in your own research, this is the best design for it. So this is more like you working with a team. And that if in the first phase of the class, we said skills a UIUX, a user experience person has to have is communication. So it's now for you to communicate properly with them, tell them, and this is the place whereby in this kind of work, you will have to have a lot of meeting. People have to schedule a lot of meeting. Why scheduling a lot of meeting? Is so that people can understand each other. Don't assume that the developer understand. Maybe in two weeks, everybody will meet, have a meeting, and everybody will show what they have on the table. And then if what you have is not reconciling, then you have to reconcile with them, help them to understand things better. So that's why these two phases are very important, the design phase and development phase. So in real life, there will be meetings upon meetings, numerous of meetings, so that everybody's in. Sometimes can be weekly meetings, maybe every Friday we'll meet, or every Thursday we'll schedule a meeting, whatever, or maybe twice in a week. Sometimes it can be monthly, it can be um, in interval of two weeks, depending on what works best with you. So that's one thing we have to know. So communication, when you communicate with with the developer, very important. And then you have to follow the developer up. You follow, even if there is no meeting, you have to still call, check on the developer and ask him, how far are you making progress? Any issues? So that's how people can now be working together. So simply, what is communication? Communication is just keeping in touch with people to know what is currently happening. And that's what's communication. So it's not holding. Communication is not all about, when people say, this person can communicate. No, it's not all about holding very long conversations, maybe a 2 hours conversation. No, that's not communication. That's just someone who can talk. No, but communication is someone who can always reach out and listen to people and respond to their, that's communication. So I think that's all for that for today.
It's like a middleman between the clients and the developer. Because the clients cannot go direct to the developer without starting the
UX person.
design.
Yes, you're very correct. The first person, the team will okay, no, whose mic is on? Okay. The first person, the team, or let me say the developer or the surrounding developer, the management will go through, in most cases, is the UX person. Because you're the person that's at the forefront. So even if there's any change and the developer tells the manager directly, you as a UX person will have to still know of those things. So, but the flow usually from the client to the UIUX person, then the UIUX person to the developer, and then the backward flow is from the developer to the UIUX person, and the UIUX person is to the what's it called, to the manager or the clients. So I want you to know that in this UIUX designer, is sometimes can be one person, and it can also be a team of designers. And in developers side, it can be a team of developers. And the hierarchy is there's going to be a product manager, that's the head UIUX person. And then you can now have secondary designers. Those are like maybe the UI designer, the UX researcher, or both the UI and UX. So that's when you now have hierarchy of order. Yeah. So as a product designer or let me say as a product manager and a product designer, you now have to know more. That is why you have to know a little bit of business to know how to interact with both the manager and the developer, so that everything will work out fine in order. So then if you're now in the lower, let me know. the lower hierarchy does not mean that you are inferior. Maybe if you're in the lower hierarchy, like you're just a UI designer and you're a UI designer, that is user interface designer, fine, you have to communicate. So it means the people that will be communicating in this case is the product manager and the lead developer, that's the head developer. They will not be the one that will be communicating. So why? So that means if you're in the design, wow, why is only changing weather? If you're in the if you watch this morning, I'm sorry, no, but no one. So if you're in the design phase, that's why you have to communicate properly with your teammates, your other designers, and then the product manager will now speak with the lead developer, so that they can harmonize things together. So I don't know, is there any questions so far with regards to this design cycle? Mm. Your mic muted. Your mic is muted. Check. Check. That's not here. I can't seem to hear. Okay. Okay, so continue, Sean. If it's unmuted, okay, you're not even logging it. So let's wait until you join.
Okay, I was going to ask if since the UIUX designer and developer work hand in hand, when the UI designer and developer they work hand in hand, that stage where you said we have to create, it's possible to also show it to the developer so that not maybe along the line they'll be making changes outside what you have already put together.
Yes. See, you have that's okay. Maybe you brought another dimension. So yes, after that's what I was saying. After design, that's why the regular meetings are important. So the meeting, in an office, there's always that meeting just to bring everybody in place. Maybe the accountant has made some changes in the accounting of the company. Everybody has to be aware, even if it doesn't affect you. Maybe they just did some audits. It does not concern you. They have to do it so that everybody's aware. So that's why in those meetings you're having, you're going to be presenting your stages. If you're seeing the sketching phase, you show the developers, depending on the stage. You cannot start showing you, or it depends on how the company works actually. But let's say you're in the user research phase, there might not be much need to start showing to the developers because they might not relate. They might not relate to what you're doing unless if the developer is well informed and that has knowledge in both sides. People can discuss about it. But if it's a scenario whereby the developer is not yet that time, maybe you're still in the planning phase, you don't really necessarily need to start bugging. Let me use the word bugging the developer on it. What you can start reaching out to them is, let me say you have to show them your wireframe as you said. And that's now when they'll be like, okay, yes, we can do this, or we cannot do this. If you understand. That's I have to get my voice. So that's now when you now know, okay, you have to brief them so that they will be aware of what is going on. So that's it. So you're telling them so that you get their opinion, because they might have, normally it's an island of information. They might have opinions that can help out. So that's why I need to discuss with them. So in those meetings, you can still show them your sketch.
not your rough sketch. It's very unnecessary. You can show them your low fidelity. And while low file sketch or your low fidelity or your mid fidelity, whichever of this or my low fidelity of this product, how do you see it? And they can start giving their response. They can be like, okay, yes, this is a good, we like this, so it is nice. So you can work with this and stuff. Okay, so I think so. I don't know, Samara, do you still have any question with regards to that? Okay, so let me share. Okay, so let's now return to. So we're going to look at UI UX principles, the principles of UI UX design. Very, very important. Are we on this? So UI UX design principles. So these are, you're now entering design fully. So this like us to pay very much attention. You have fully transitioned from UX and now in UI. So it doesn't mean that we will not still at any point in time go back to UX. So just for us to know. So so next thing you're going to be looking at the elements of design. So the word is elements of design. So this goes across both UI UX design and graphic design. So elements of design. Andrew, are you with us? Are you on the Zoom call? Okay. So elements of UI UX design. So what are the elements of design? So the element of design is space. So before you go to the principles, you have to talk about the elements. So elements is like, if you're cooking, elements is your ingredients. Then how you cook the food is now the principles. Let's use the most common food we cook, but not everybody eats it though. Like me, I don't like eating that particular food, which is, it says instant pasta, instant noodles, Indomie. I don't really fancy it, sure, but I eat it maybe once in a year or once in several months, 6 months or so. Yeah. or just I rarely eat it. So let's say once cook indomie, for example, the elements for cooking indomie is that's the pasta, sorry, the noodles itself, that is the instant pasta noodles itself, that is the indomie, and then the spice, the seasoning, water, and if you want to put extra ingredients to it or extra elements, like some people want to cook their indomie with tomatoes, and some vegetables. Some like we prefer that with some have a different recipe. So you see that recipe they have is their principles, but the elements vary, are are usually constant per se. The elements are usually constant, or the reason that you can vary different elements, but your principles can always change depending on how you want to apply it. So your elements are like your principles. Sorry, the elements are like your ingredients, I meant to say. So the first one is space. Second one is line. Third is shape. The fifth is size. The seven, no, this, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth is size. The fifth is value. And then that's all. That's the totality of the elements of design we have. So the first element of design we'll be looking at is space. So space is the So space is the work area in your design. So we have two types of space, which is the positive space and the negative space. So what's positive space? So positive space is the area occupied by an object in the design. The negative space is the empty area. So let's use this slide, for example. Let's use this as an example as a design. Your positive space is the space this square takes, the positive space. And then the space this paragraph takes is a positive space. Then this empty white space, white background is your negative space. Nothing is occupied at that place. So we have actually in that same negative space, we have two distinctions, but I did not add this, so it's not be confusing. The distinction is just to know it, but it's not a must. You must fully understand it, but it's good to know it at Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the breaking transmission. Screen. So the positive space, let me let me let's make sure it's sharing. Still sharing. Okay, yes, I'm back. So I think this is a good time to join in, or you can positive space from what I was saying previously is sorry, the negative space that's the area that doesn't have any background, that doesn't contain anything, has two distinctions. The first distinction is your negative space, and your negative space is sorry, the first distinction I meant to say is your micro space. Micro means small. So your micro space are the space in between the smaller elements, like this line of text and this line of text. The micro space is this small line here, this small space here. So this is a very tiny space, very, very tiny. Same thing here. So the line, the small space in between these sentences are called micro space, micro. Then macro is the big one. It's called big, let's say small space, big space. Micro is small space. Macro is big space. So the big space is everything here. Those bigger, the ones that has more space, occupies more space, is your big negative space. They have micro negative space and macro and micro. So let's go further. So how does space help your design? Let's check it out. How do we see this particular design? Let's be honest. Can unmute your mic and if you're online, you just use one microphone. Let me remove my earpiece so I can all hear each other. Everybody's voice to comment. So even if you're not trying to so yes, so how do we so how do we so in this particular slide, how do we see what's this? How does this slide feels to you? Your honest review. I'm asking everybody. And that's Andrea's view. What about you? So the question, so the question I was asking is, now in this particular slide, if you can see it now, in this particular slide, and then this slide, what did you observe? This slide and this slide, what are your observations? Andrea said doesn't balance, right? So he's still trying to understand what is going on. Then what about so? So what do you think about it? They were very quiet. And let me break the little silence. Or do you have to say? So please, if you don't have anything, let's just say if you don't have anything to say that. I'll not be waiting in hope. Okay, so the difference is if you see the previous slide, you know, see the space is balanced. Like Andrea said, is balanced. So the balance between the micro space and the macro space is even. and the positive space. So like in this particular slide, notice everything is not, it just look like as if everybody's scattered. This one is just here. But in this particular slide, you see that it looks well arranged. It's because we balanced both the positive space and negative space. So what do I mean is here, the positive space is quite too much. It's not looking orderly. So that's what space does. So the way, the better you manage your space, the design always look good. If you manage your space properly in your design, it will always look good. For the sake of battery life, we'll be ending here. So these are a lot of lines in the design. These are like the basic forms of design. So without line, there is nothing can exist. So line shows sense of movement. So in design, lines have their meaning. So the first meaning of line in design, thin lines, very thin lines, look as if they can easily break, can easily pick these lines and break it easily. So thin lines it shows calmness, elegance, and something fragile in your design. That's what thin lines tend to show. Bold lines, or let's say thick lines, tend to show boldness and strength. So it means that the energy you take to break this particular line will is going to be more for you to break these particular thick lines. And when you now have a combination of thin and thick lines in an upward direction facing vertically, it shows something that is traveling up, or something that is growing. So it shows growth, upward motion. Then the next kind of line is, if you say diagonal thick line, it shows something aggressive, agility, or fast move. So in your sports, most sports companies like using this kind of diagonal thick lines. Racing, if you've seen your racing track, all those relay race, sprint race, or the marathon race, they have a track, and this is how the track looks like. So it shows movement. Or if you watch race cars or those things, it shows movement. So next line is curved lines. So curved lines tend to show something calm, feminine, and smooth. So because curved line are used to show something that is very, very smooth. So these are the meaning of line. Then the last line we'll be looking at is jagged line. So jagged lines tend to show something unstable, something that is not like a shock, or something that's uneasy. So that's all we take today. In the next class, we'll continue from shape the elements of the design. So before we end the class, this. Thank you. So before we start the class, can we use then positive space, and negative space. Two different distinctions. Positive space is just the area where, let me give out space. Positive space is the area. Yes, positive space is the area that has something occupying it. The negative space is the one that has two distinctions, which is the micro and the macro. So how do you differentiate? So positive space is just a space where something is occupying. Then in negative space is a space where nothing is occupying. And micro is that small space that nothing is occupying. So this is a sentence and this is a sentence. So this is from a paragraph. So in between those sentences, you can see a small space here, right? Not that's your micro. I don't know if you understand. No, that one is still part of it. No, I'm talking. That one you said now, before this and is, there's still a little space here. That's your micro space. But that one, this one you're talking about is not in the context of today's class. That is, you're talking about typography. But I'm talking about this sentence and the next sentence. Is there no small space on there? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So that one you say this, and then there's a space here. That one is your space for typing normally now. So it's a typography you're talking about. I'm just talking, I'm making reference to that paragraph, that space you have in between two sentences is your micro space. And that micro space you have is, you see this shape here and this text and this full paragraph, this small space here is your micro space. I don't know if you can see it. That's your micro space. And then this big gap here is your macro. Macro is big, micro is small, like microscope. And when you say macroscope, then macroscope is now look at very big pixels. So that's why I say negative space has two types. The small one, that's what I say, let me say the tiny space and the big space. This is the tiny space. Those tiny space, and then the space between these two are tiny spaces, right? The space between this and this. If you draw like a line here, you can measure it, right? That's your micro. Then macro is the space between this and this edge here. It's a huge gap, and the space between this and this edge here, and this, when I mean edge, this edge of this screen, yeah, is your macro space. Those big spaces are like, it's a huge gap. So does that answer the question? Okay. So the recommendation is balance the two of them. Balance, make sure that your micros, make sure that your positive space is not too much and negative space is not too much, because if anyone gets too much, the design will look off. Like in this one, the issue here was that the space between the two of them was irregular. Like, see this block of text. This one is just, is not defined. Like, it's not looking, it looks like something is wrong. You might not see it now, no, but if you understand this, you see it. Like, let's take an example. The space between here and here are not balanced. This small space is not balanced. Some subconsciously in your mind is not looking okay, but this one is looking balanced. Like I see here and here, the space here and the space here is balanced, right? The space at this top and the space here is balanced. I noticing it. But in this particular one, it's like as if here to here is just irregular. Here and here is irregular. So in this, the issue of this design is that the space is not well balanced. So your positive space and negative space are just, one is more than each other. So for it to have a good design, you have to balance those space. So, Mr. Mari, I've got your slide ready. Okay, so we are almost coming to the end of this class. Let me stop sharing my screen. So I noticed that Mr. Casey is on the call. So Casey, let's hear from you. Say hi to your fellow students. Are you driving an aeroplane this time?
No, I'm not driving the aeroplane.
Okay. So you followed through the class, right?
Not all. I'm a little bit distracted, but I'm following. At least I'm following. I'm following 60%.
Yeah, that's great. So the remaining 40, you now get it from the recording now.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So that's great. So we want to take, since you're saying a little bit distracted, so we have done with today's class. We want to look at the presentation from our previous task. So Ms. Okbara will be sharing her screen. So maybe when you're back and less distracted, maybe from tomorrow. So just know that tomorrow, if you're still going to be online, if you're going
Yeah,
to
tomorrow I'll be online.
you have to
Tomorrow, I'll be back by Wednesday.
okay. So tomorrow, just get your slide ready so that after the class, you share your screen and walk us through your.
Can you give me like Can you give me like on Thursday or Monday?
Thursday.
Currently, I'm in Enugu. By tomorrow, I'll be somewhere else.
So you cannot present tomorrow. Okay, let's give you
I can't,
Thursday. After Thursday, you pay a fine, no? A fine
definitely.
of a date submission.
Please.
Okay, no wahala. So we'll give you till Thursday then. So are you ready? Just okay. If that's you should share me your slide so you can use my laptop to present. I think that's I don't know why. Maybe it might be your network provider because mine is fairly stable. I'm seeing that you're online actually, but it seems like network is a little bit slow. So Anya, do you have anything different for us? I was thinking you have some magic to show us. Maybe you've developed an app for the government. So let's wait for someone to join. I think that will conclude today's class. So there's no task for today. Let's just review. Tomorrow we'll go back to Figma. We'll look into Figma in details so that we can now start getting acquainted with Figma. So tomorrow's class, there will be no slide. We'll just start the class. We'll just start with Figma. So to be very practical oriented. So all of us, let's get our practical gears ready. Get your laptops charged, get your notepad ready, and come expect that. Seems like you're off again, right? Are you off again? Wait, just slide. So go open our Slack tab or then go back to Zoom to share screen. Take it directly like this. Share screen. The green button. That's a good UI. UI stuff. They made their share the green button for easy identification. Interesting. So share screen. Just share screen. Share your glass screen. Yes.
Okay, screen.
Yes, it's the one there to avoid issues. Just share it so good. So yes, we can see your screen now. So take us through your task 3. So my panel of judges. I hope we are looking. So
Good morning, everybody.
good morning.
So, as usual, we have
Your mic
been
is
tackling
muted.
some
Your mic is
difficult.
Your mic is unmuted.
So,
No, we can hear her before, but we can't hear her now.
okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Okay. We all know about Sam's predicament. So that is what we've been handling for the past weeks. So this time around we are asked to develop a user research and then create a user persona for Sam. And from the previous assignments, the design thinking model that we employed, it came in steps, which is first of all conducting interviews for Sam and other students, and then to understand what their challenges is all about, and then after that we move to after conducting the interviews for Sam and to understand his challenges, his frustrations and stuff like that, we proceed to let me just go over here. Let's go to the Miro board. So we can see. Just hope this network respects itself.
Oh, you want to show us what your matter, right?
Yes. Okay, so I was able to talk to 3 students. So I can understand what their challenges is all about when it comes
You
to
are able to
this.
interview 3 students.
Yes. I'm trying to zoom in so I can read all these tiny stuffs. Okay. So my interview questions are by the left. So the number one for the first students, because I have a block for each of their responses. So for student one, their department is political science education, and then the second question, can you describe the specific challenges you faced when searching for this online resources for the project? So it was able to state what the challenges has been so far, which is there's so much information online, that some of them are even contradicting, that you even get not like you have so many things, but you don't know where to start. So, and how do you approach finding and evaluating this sources for your academic work?
The question is how so what was the result?
So he said that first of all, he clarifies his research objectives. Then secondly, identifies the relevant keywords for his area of research, and then utilizes some academic um, sites to. And then the fourth one. So the platforms, what platforms or tools do you currently use to search for these materials? So Google Scholar, and Scopus, and then mention them JSTOR. Then have you encountered any? Sorry, my questions are plenty. Have you encountered any difficulties with the credibility or reliability of these sources you find online? So okay, according to him, he said misleading sponsored content. Like he said, sometimes he might be online, some stuff to just pop up, and they are usually distracting. They are popping up for you to click and possibly divert your attention from what you're originally looking for. Even though sometimes he said they are related, actually. So, and then secondly, so there are some manipulated or fabricated content